everyone. Once again, it's Board of Numbers and it's episode 18. That's right, today we're talking about the number 18. We're going through every single number on the dartboard, ending on ball 21 episodes. It's episode 18 and it's a real thrill because we've got another guest. And this is a special one. Mr. Lee Mack joins us. Hello, Lee.
I'm not sure I can keep up your level of enthusiasm if you're going to do that throughout the whole episode.
I always like to start it like that.
You're talking like a man who's not doing a show about numbers on a dartboard. More like someone's going to win £1 million.
Well, this is why we've got the viewing figures that we've got, you see. I sort of, I up the enthusiasm in line with the numbers. So by the time we get to bull, I'm going to be going...
Yeah, you're going to explode. Your head's going to explode like David Coleman on Spitting Image.
Yes. Now, look, you're a good dart player, aren't you? I know this because I've played you.
I love darts. I've been playing darts since I grew up in a pub, and I've been playing darts since I was so small. I used to stand on the bar stool, get off the bar stool, then get on the next bar stool to get the darts out, and then off again, and backwards and forwards. So I've got very strong legs.
Yeah. Well, that sort of level of commitment suggests that it could have been a job for you.
Well, I thought it could be a job when I was about 16. I locked myself. I was on the dole when I was 16, and I spent a whole year determined to make it. So I spent 8 hours a day from about the age of 16 to 17 doing nothing but playing darts.
Right.
So if you passed my bedroom in the mid-1980s, you'd have heard then a long silence. And the problem I had...
You weren't throwing darts, you were just making that noise, were you?
Yeah, that's the clean version of the joke, yeah. So, I know, trust me, I know your audience. And I went to the team, I got in a team and played and realised that it was putting me off that there was no bed between me and the board.
You should have taken a bed with you when we did that comic relief thing.
Think about it. I mean, you get these brilliant walk-on music and walk-on entrances, but no one's ever brought a bed on. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
That would be great. You have to wear your pyjamas.
Lee, the bed mat.
But like I say, that level of start in the world of darts suggests to me that you ought to still be playing now. I think you're not really playing much anymore, are you?
I don't. I basically I've got an office, and I've got an office at home, little office room, and I've taken the board out, and it's at the end of the garden in this like shed thing because I know that if it's in the house, I'll just never get any work done. I'll do what you've done because when I come around your house, the carpet is worn out between where the stand and where the board is. It's completely worn out, isn't it?
It's worn out actually in two places. It's worn out where I am by the oche, and then there's one more place about 1.5 feet in front of the ball, which is where I swivel round with the ball of my foot. Yeah. Look, this is the point about this episode, this whole series. I'm sure you've been gripped by it. In fact, I've been
having a listen. I'm not going to lie. I got as far as the first one, but I didn't. Unless that's the last episode and we're working our way backwards.
If you look at the viewing figures, you're not the only one who's done that. There was a bit of a jump from 1 to 2. Well, people thought, what is this? And they thought, oh, it's that. Yeah, I don't think we'll bother. But anyway, listen, we're on 18. Now, look...
the thing is, Tim, I've known you long enough to know that if literally no one was watching, you wouldn't be able to stop until you've completed the set.
Well, there's an element of that, yes.
21.
Yeah, there's an element of... Well, also, it's a bit of a nicer thing to do, isn't it? To get to the end of it, isn't it?
It's great, but it's also I am going to listen to them because how you managed to stretch this out to a format. I mean, I don't think it's going to get a spin-off television show, but you know. But anyway, I'm glad you invited me on because, as you know, I said, Tim, if you ever get to 18, please invite me on. It's my favourite number.
Well, exactly. So let's talk. What we normally do is we talk about the single 18, the double 18, and then the triple. So look, single 18, obviously 8. If you're on 58, 18 tops. If you're on 50. 18 double 16, and if you're on 38, maybe if you really didn't like double 19, you might go 18 for double 10. I personally can't think of any other reason why a pro would go for a single 18. Can you?
Well, I would always go for if I'm on 90,
yes,
and the other person isn't on a finish,
yes,
I will always go treble 18, single 18, double 18. Always. Because they're all in the same position. I always like double 18 in its position. I prefer it to double tops.
That was 100. That was 108 you just said then. You mean treble 18, double 18, don't you?
What did I just say?
You said treble 18, single 18, double 18.
Yeah, that's 90.
No, treble 18, single 18, double 18 is 100, 108, isn't it?
Sorry, you're right. What I meant to say was treble 18, double 18. But if I miss the treble 18, I'll go double 18, double 18.
I see, right, okay.
I'd rather do that than 2 single 20s that have missed the treble and then bullseye.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because one of the first questions I asked, and I know we both got to meet Eric Bristow, one of the first questions I asked him was, how would you go out on 90? I promise you this is true. I said, because I always thought it was a bit of a grey area, because no one likes double 15. But he said, well, the pro would go treble 20, double 15. And I reckon that was because he's from a slightly different era. Because I think you're right now, actually. I think the pros, I think they start on the bull, actually.
Yeah, because then they can go 20. I suppose they'd go... Well, hang on, no, that'd leave them 65. Oh, yeah, then treble 15.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, there's your single. The other reason...
Anyway, cheers for that. Yeah. And if you ever get to do this again, you must is there more?
There's a couple more. There's a couple. The other thing is that you would normally, the only other reason that you would hit an 18 is if you're going for double 18, obviously accidentally hit the 18, and then you end up on double 9, and stuff goes on from there, which we've talked about in previous episodes. So let's talk about double.
I just like 18. I like its positioning. It's a unique number, 18. I don't know if you know this. Numerically, it's a unique number. It's the only number that, it's the only number where if you add up the digits that make it, it's exactly half of itself. So if you add up 1 plus 8, it's 9, and 9 is half of 18. You can't say that about any other number in existence.
Right? My dad would have liked that fact. I never knew that.
It's also seen as a legal age, isn't it? You can vote at 18.
Yes.
Something about 18.
Yeah, well, we're getting off the dartboard slightly there, but you're right. It's more about.
No, we're not, because you can drink at 18, go to the pub and play darts. Thank you. Back to you.
Back to 18. Very good, yeah. So double 18. Now, what about this then? This scenario, if you're on 88, I know I was going to ask you first of all. Would you ever go for the cover shot on 18? Because I've noticed that pros do that more now as well. They actually go, if they miss the treble 20 and don't like the lie of it with the first one, they go treble 19. If they don't like the lie of that, they then go for a treble 18. That score of 93 is happens quite a lot.
Well, I'm still old school. If I miss the treble 20, if I hit the treble 20 and it's in the way, I'll go straight over to the 18 most of the time. I don't want to be going all the way down to that. Yeah, because it's too far down. I want to keep my angle.
I didn't know. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that. The first person I've met.
Oh no, some of the pros. I think some of the pros stay up top, don't they? Treble 20. If they can't get to the treble 20, get it into the 18.
Well, they do occasionally, but normally it's when they're setting a shot up. If they're on 174 or something, or 200.
I just think for the sake of moving all that way down there, it's only an extra 3 points, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Well, one of the things I do when I'm on 88 is I go for treble 20 for double 14. But if I hit the single 20, I'm then on 68. If I hit that with the first dart. And what I like to do is I throw for a single 18 to leave the bull, but I throw...
Not treble 18.
Not especially, because what I do is I go for... It's one of my favourite shots when I've got 2 darts in my hand, I'm on 68. I go for single 18 with a touch of fade, so that there's a possibility of hitting the double 18 and leaving yourself double 16.
Interesting. Well, when I'm on double 18, I always like to leave myself... I always go for the bottom half of the double 18, because if it goes low into the 4, you've got yourself a nice double 16. Right, and if it hits the double 4, then you've got yourself still got a decent finish on double 14.
Wow, that really is quite a long way low. If you're hitting another single, it's quite a... So it's a broader area.
I think you'll find the bottom right-hand corner is touching the single top left-hand corner.
I suppose it is really the single. Yeah, he's right again, listeners. He's right again. Now, one of the great shots that I've ever seen in the worlds done on the 18 was when Rob Cross won the title. Do you remember the shot he did?
I do vaguely. Remind me.
Well, it was Phil Taylor's last final, and he was on 140, and he went treble 18, double 16. Amazing shot.
Didn't we go? Weren't we at that, me and you?
I don't know.
I've got a feeling that when was that? About 6 or 7 years ago.
Not even that long ago, I don't think. The one we definitely went together was when he won his last world title, and we both got to meet.
Oh yeah,
that was an incredible thing. Yeah.
That was the one where we got, in the old days of getting invited to the darts, which is what we've done. There's a sort of VIP bit, and afterwards you get to have a drink with the players. And I waited, and everyone had gone home, and I was sat there. And everyone went. There's only about 3 of us left, and Phil Taylor finally turned up because he'd had to be kept back because it was just us. And that's when I said to Phil Taylor, he said, "Are you on tour?" I said, "Yeah." He said, I'll be in Stoke." He said, "Well, you must come round for a game of darts." And I said, "Well, you know what he said, "You must come round for a coffee."
Right.
And I said, "Well, you know what I'm going to ask you, don't you? I've got to have a game of darts against you if I come to your house." To which he said, "No, we'll have best of 3 because you could flute." And I thought, God, you've just won the World Championship for the 16th time. And I'm some hack middle-aged comedian who can just about play darts. And even now, you're being competitive. I thought that's the difference between a winner and a bunch of losers like us at darts, isn't it?
I know, yeah. And the other thing, just to finish up on the Phil Taylor thing, that night when if you remember, we were allowed to go in and meet him individually before he played. We weren't.
You to play him. I remember that. I was jealous.
Well, I just threw. He'd let me throw 3 darts. But what I remember is I wasn't familiar with Van Gogh at the time. And I walked into this room, and up one end was Phil Taylor on a practice board. This is half an hour before he was on stage, and up the other end was a bald bloke sitting on a sofa. I didn't know who he was. I walked straight past him. It was Van Gogh. Later on, I thought, blimey, that was the other player.
I know. Incredible, isn't
it? Amazing. Well, we do hero worship dart players a bit because it is extraordinary to see what they do. When you see the consistency of it, it's a bit hard to get your head round.
Well, still my all-time favourite player, John Lowe.
Yes,
always.
Have you met him? You haven't.
Never met him.
You should.
Never met John Lowe. But the reason I liked him was because I always think I'm attracted to players that are the opposite of me. I'm a frenetic, jerking around, chicken without a head player. I just throw quickly. I'm not, But John Lowe, same as Ray Barneveld. You know that way of really throwing.
Oh, yeah. Gorgeous,
not a part of their body moves apart from the throwing arm. But also John Lowe had big fat darts that you don't see anymore. No. Really fat ones, if I remember rightly.
They're sort of short and fat, weren't they? They were little sort of short barrels, weren't they? But quite fat.
Yeah, I remember the early darts players used to have those built-in sort of feathers. Do you remember them?
Yeah, you think you're archery now?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
You're talking about the speed you throw. Although you say throwing slowly is looks better, but I remember Van Gogh saying the reason he throws fast is because less can go wrong the quicker you do it. And I thought that's a very, the quicker you get the darts out your hand, it's like you're just trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. It's true, and I'm like that with everything in life. Just get it done as quickly as possible, and get out. Just go, and then it.
Well, that's a lovely way to. That's a lovely way to end because I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you're a busy man, and it's New Year's Eve. We've got fun things to do. Lee Mack, thank you so much for being on Board of Numbers.
It's been the highlight of my career.